Father, we give you all the glory. You are my rock, my strength and my trust. In you I live and move and have my being. You are my shelter, my peace and my shield. You are my everything. You are worthy to be praised. You are my rock, my strength and my trust. In you I live and move and have my being. You are my shelter, my peace and my shield. You are my everything. You are worthy to be praised. Sweet Jesus, beautiful King, no Father like you, no friend like you. Your love for me is everlasting. No one like you, no one like you. Sweet Jesus, beautiful King, there is no Father like you, no friend like you. Your love for me is everlasting.
All right, so this is the Season Apologist Live. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, and good night, depending from wherever you're watching from or whatever you're joining us from. So this is the Season Apologist Live. So I really want to welcome everyone to this program. Again, today we're going to be having a very interesting episode of the Season Apologist Live. Today we're going to be doing what we know as the debate movement. Debate movement, all right? So last week we actually had a debate between a dear Christian brother and also a dear Atheist brother, bro Derrick, and also bro Henry. So two of them actually had the debate last week on the deity of Christ. Is Jesus God? Okay, so that's actually what was debated last week. But today we're going to be talking about the existence of God, and as you've seen right from the very beginning of the program, the topic is, does God exist? That's actually what you see right there on the screen. Does God exist? So that's actually what we're going to be talking about today. All right, so now joining us to discuss this are two gentlemen who were already prepared, who actually prepared for the program. I believe you're going to be enjoying this today. Now, before I even bring them to the fore, I really want to say this. For those that are joining us, if you're in the comment section, please, I want to implore you to be civic. This is a mature dialogue between a Christian and the atheist. I do not encourage and I do not want that people in the comment section began to do ad hominem, okay, begin to attack people's personality. I believe that you should be here to want to learn the truth. Does God really exist? Do we have a positive case for God, or is it a negative? That is what you want to watch. That's what you want to learn in the program today. All right, so keep an eye on that. Also, let me quickly introduce two speakers. They're actually in the studio right now, and those speakers of ours, of the two speakers of ours, all right, yeah. So that's Bro Derrick and also Bro Henry. So these two gentlemen were with us last week, and the conversation last week was very interesting. It was matured, informative, and also very tantalizing as well. All right, so Bro Derrick, you're welcome to today's program. How are you doing today?
Thank you very much. It's great to be back to have this second discussion, and I hope that we are all going to learn a lot. And my greetings to all those watching, those who were able to watch last week, those who are joining now. We say that welcome and strap in, because we are going to have a lot of conversation today.
Okay. All right. Thank you for that. I don't know. There seems to be a lag. Is it from my end or is it from your end? I do not know, but we're going to find out as we move on. Yeah, bro, Henry Osuji. It's nice having you today. This is our taste friend. How are you doing today, Henry?
I'm perfectly fine. I'm great. I'm doing great.
Great.
And it's a pleasure to debate Mr.
But
Derrick. Notwithstanding that last week debate, honestly, it was somehow all of his church members. I got a lot of negative response, you know, because the type of issue we are debating is a crucial issue. And I believe today's own will be somehow different. Just glad to be here.
awesome.
Thank you.
Awesome. All right. So with that said, I think we're good to go for today's topic of discussion. Like I said right from the very beginning, and as you've seen right in the poster, today we're discussing, does God exist? That is the topic of discussion for today. Now, let me quickly recap or just to remind us of the formality, the modalities we're going to be going by in the program today. Now, for the opening program or for the opening statement, we're going to be having 25 minutes. Okay, so the two speakers will be having 25 minutes for their opening statement. And thereafter, we're going to be having 10 minutes for the rebuttals. So 10 minutes from the two sides. And immediately after that, we're going to be having 10-minute cross examination. And after that, we're going to be having 3 questions from the Christians, 3 questions from the atheists. Okay, so hopefully this time around, we're going to be having more atheists asking questions so that Henry will not say that bro Derrick had called all the church members to come out and be asking questions. Now, immediately after that, we're going to be having the closing remarks, okay? Closing remarks from the two speakers, and that will be 5 minutes each. I forgot to mention that immediately after the cross-examination, during the question and answer, the speakers, we have 2 minutes to answer every question that is being posted to them, and there will be 1 minute reaction from the opposite side, all right? So that is the modality for today. I also want to encourage you that during the presentation of the two speakers, if you have any question, note them down because immediately after the cross-examination, we're going to be going into the question and answer. That is where you come in as the audience. That is where you come in. So what you can do at that point in time is to make sure that you're posting your question. Now, this is the format for question. When you're ready to post in your question, you type the word question in capital letter again. Type the word question in capital letter. Once you type that in capital letter, let it be followed by your question, all right? Again, do not write a dissertation. This is not a time for long essay. Make your question very brief so that we can take the questions and respond to them. Because if your question is too long, the program we're using, we cut it off such that we'll not be able to make a sense of your question, all right? And when you're asking a question, make sure it is based on the topic of discussion. You do not ask a question that is outside of the topic of discussion. If we see any question like that, we will ignore it. So the best chance to get your question picked is to make sure it's laconic, simple, brief, and also straightforward to related to the topic of discussion. So with that said, I think we're good to go. And then our brother Henry is going to be starting with 25 minutes opening statement. Immediately after that, we're going to go to Derrick to follow up. All right, so Henry, your 25 minutes starts right about now.
Okay, let me set my time so that I don't go against the time. Okay. It's a great pleasure to be here today to debate my colleague, notwithstanding that we had a very tough debate last week. And as well, I got lots of negative response from his, I think that will be from his church members, but we are used to criticism. The topic we are debating today is a very crucial topic, which is, does God exist or not? It's a topic one needs to approach based on personal perspective. So in this debate, in the topic we are debating today, I think maybe my own perspective towards the topic may be different from Mr. Derrick. So before I present my case, first, let me make this clear to people. The word atheist is getting a bad name. It's creating bad impression in people towards a person who is an atheist. Many always assume atheist people to be deadly, dangerous set of people that indulge in all manner of evil activities in such that they are to be scared of. But an atheist is a person who is self-confident, a person who don't feel the need for the fear of God of any kind in him or her to be moral and to differentiate good from bad. Lastly, an atheist is simply a person who don't believe in God as a result of lack of evidence for his existence. That I don't believe in God doesn't mean I don't believe in anything. I believe in love. I believe in kindness. I believe in myself. I believe in integrity and equality. And lastly, I believe in humanity over everything. Coming to the topic we are debating today, which is does God exist or not? To me, debating God's existence is an evidence that he doesn't exist. God doesn't exist. Well, we don't need to debate convincing a person that something like wind actually exists. Air. You don't need debate to convince a person that wind exists. We have wind because nobody can see wind, but we all can feel it. You can't, Mr. Derrick, you can't feel wind, but you can't see wind, but you can feel it. So I don't think when it comes to the issue of does God exist or not, debating God's existence itself is an evidence that it doesn't exist, because there is something ironical. God's existence being known and felt only by those who believe in him. I think there is something more to that. It is only people who believe in God's existence, who believe in him. It is only them that feel his presence. It is only him that have this kind of assurance that he doesn't exist. Why don't others feel the same way? Why don't? The truth is, people don't rise for the defense of God because there is much evidence for his existence, but because they think without believing in this imaginary God nor having fear of him, one will not have moral. One will not be able to differentiate good from bad. We have about 20 different religions in the world today, and all of these religions, with their respective method of worship, claim to worship this same God. We are debating his existence today. My question is, if truly this God exists and he have a specific way he specified for him to be worshipped in order to enter his kingdom, so which religion exactly is getting it right? Which religion out of these 20, or we have more than 20, is getting it right? To Mr. Derrick, if you can't be able to distinguish which religion exactly is getting it right or wrong, then I don't think you have the right to say this same God they all claim to represent, they all claim to feel his presence through their respective method of worship exists, because they all can be right, yet they all claim to feel his presence always. I personally think there is something more to that. My argument against God's existence mainly will be based on two things. One, the problem of suffering. Two, the problem of evil. The question of does God exist or not is not just a question for atheists and agnostic people alone. It's a question Christians should be more concerned about, considering the nature of the world we live in, of why there is pain, misery, suffering, and evil in a world said to be created and controlled by all-loving and powerful God. What is truth? If you have to talk about theory of truth, truth is when a word corresponds with reality. If it doesn't correspond, sorry, I refuse to accept it as truth, no matter who is coming from. And those who choose to accept what does not correspond with reality should accept the fact that it's not truth. The point I'm trying to make is we are told God exists, and there is this attribute about God. When you put these three together and contrast God with reality, it doesn't correspond. We are told that God is all-knowing. We are told that God is all-loving. We are told that God is all-powerful. But yet, when you look at the nature of the world we are living in today, we have people suffering. He is powerful. We have people dying of hunger. We have natural disasters. Yes, yet he can't do anything about it with his all-powerful. Take, for example, last month, there was a bloody massacre at a Catholic church in Owo, Ondo State, where the people that came to worship this imaginary God, many were killed by unknown terrorists. God is all-knowing, meaning he is aware of the plan before the attack. God is all-powerful. He refused to do something to stop the attack. God is all-loving. He sat and watched the people he claimed to love die like fowl in numbers. If the God, if this God of yours with all his potential exists, and what's happened in Ondo happened without him doing anything to prevent it, we are to say he is heartless or he is evil. If God is powerful, he is all-knowing, and he have all these potentials in him, yet he allowed what happened in Ondo State to happen without him doing anything. Are we to say he's all-powerful or he's evil? That means he's an accomplice. He's an accomplice. Or they're trying to tell me, Mr. Derrick, if you are aware of the plan of what happened that fateful Sunday, and you are in position to stop it, are you telling me you will not do something about it? If you were aware of what happened that day, the massacre, as an all-knowing God, if you were aware and you are in position to do something, are you telling me that you will not do something? What happened at Ondo that day with the way it happened is as a result of there is no God. And I perfectly understand this, that this is just the way the world is. But it's a very big problem to people who think there is a God in charge of everything, because they have so much explanation to give of why what happened the way it happened. In the other hand, take a look at the nature of the world we live in. There is no single reason to believe a mighty being called God is in charge of it. To make the claim that super being called God exists and he is in charge of the world and our well-being, then you have so much explanation to give of why the world is the way it is. Proverbs chapter 10 from verse 3. The Lord does not let the righteous go hunger, but today we have millions of righteous people dying out of starvation on a daily basis. He is said to be all-powerful, yet he refused to do something about it if really he exists. Psalm 91, 10 to 11. No evil will happen to you, nor will any plague come near your tent. This is God's promise in the Bible. Yet millions of people are dying out of deadly disease on daily basis by earthquakes, natural disasters, drought, tsunami. All of these things are happening. Well, the issue of God's existence is not something that you need to talk in the sense that people will not understand. You have to use something that is close to them, something they will perfectly understand to make them understand the point you are trying to make. To make them reason like people, rather than for them reasoning like outside the box. All of these things are happening in a world said to be created by all-loving and powerful God. To Christians, to people like Mr. Derrick, the answer to this problem is very simple. It is the forces of evil, the devil, that is causing all of these things. But God, at the end of time, with his mighty power, will destroy these forces and then reward the righteous who survive with 2-bedroom flats. This is what I call it. At the end of time, God will reward the people that survive these troubles in the earth. He will reward them with 2-bedroom flats made of gold in heaven. To me, such easy answer is a tactic to keep faith in the existence of God alive when you have already seen reasons to doubt his existence. The point I'm trying to make is, if God truly exists, why doesn't he intervene to stop the problem of evil that is ravaging the world? If God truly exists, why doesn't he intervene to stop the problem of hunger, homelessness, deadly disease, and natural disasters that is ravaging the world? Just as 1 Corinthians claim. 1 Corinthians 13:11, it says, when I was a child, I spoke like a child. I reasoned like a child. But now that I become a man, I put away childish things and childish manner of reasoning, that there is a God in charge of this world. This world that is full of evil, hunger, homelessness, deadly diseases is the way it is today because there is no God in charge of it. There is no God watching over it. So all of these problems is inevitable in a world where there is no mighty being in charge of. Thank you. So I would like some of my time to, because this particular debate is this topic of God existence is not something you need to talk much. So in my rebuttals, I will have a lot to talk about. Thank you very much.
Okay, all right. You still have a lot of time right there. You still have about 14
give
minutes.
it to Mr. Give it to Mr. Derrick.
No, I won't give it to him. So what I'm just going to do is that Mr. Derrick will still use his 25 minutes. Okay, he'll use his 25 minutes also. Yeah. So Mr. Derrick, are you there? We can't get to see you. Hello.
Hey, yeah, I'm here.
Okay, all right. So bro Osuji is actually done with his time. Okay, he still have about 40 minutes, like I said,
minutes.
but
I'm done.
Yeah, he still have about 40 minutes.
We'll
But you have your 25 minutes, and if you also want to finish before then, it's up to you. So your 25 minutes. Are you ready? Are you good to go?
Let me upload my slides in there. Just a minute, a single minute.
Okay, all right. Okay.
All right.
Okay, so folks, while he's uploading the slide, let's just quickly go for a 1-minute break, and then immediately after that, we'll be right back. Hi, my name is Kuredela Wayne, and I want to tell you about an important program that is coming up. That's a Christian apologetic program called the Battle of the Act. Now, the Battle of the Act is a Christian apologetic program that seeks to explain the Christian faith to people of the other faith, and also seeks to also respond to the people of other faith as well. Now, in the Battle of the Act, we're going to be having interviews, we're going to be having short videos, we're going to be having discussions as well. So it's going to be a program that's full of information for primarily the Christians and then those of other faith as well. So you want to make sure that you subscribe to this channel so you can get updates when the videos started coming out. Now, if you have a question or you have a topic of discussion that you do see us discuss, make sure you send a mail to the mail you're seeing on the screen so we can get this information and then respond or even have some of these topics in our future episode. So thank you very much and watch out for the videos. All right, folks, so welcome back. Thank you very much for staying with us. Thank you to not gone away. So right now, we're going to be taking the presentation from Brother Derrick. Though I've not seen a slide yet. Brother Derrick, you're still trying to send it, right?
Yes, sir. I don't know why
Okay.
it's doing that. Just a second. I think it's loading. It's loading.
Okay, no problem. So folks, I just want to remind you again, if you want to ask your question, like I said from the very beginning, it's very simple. When it's time for question and answer, you type the word question in capital letter. The reason why we're asking you to do this is because we want to make sure that we differentiate between questions and comment. Right now, as I speak to you, there's a lot of comment going on in the comment section, okay? So we want to make sure that we differentiate between the comment that is going on right there and the questions that you are asking. And that's the reason why we ask that if you want to ask a question, make sure that it is actually typed. First off, you type question in capital letter. Once that is done, then you can actually make sure that you follow it up with your question. Make sure your question is the question that relates to the topic of discussion. You don't want to do something that is not related to the topic of discussion. Ask a question that is based on the topic of discussion, and they will be able to pick it up. All right. So with that said, yes, it's actually on the screen. Okay, so I want to encourage those that will be asking questions. I can see that Michelle is already asking questions. Michelle, please, I want to encourage you to hold your hands right now. Okay, so please just hold the question. When it's time for question, you can post this very question, please, Michelle. Yeah.
Please use the second slide.
Sorry. Oh, okay, the second one.
Yes.
All right, no problem. It's okay. All right, so please, when it's time for question and answer, that is when you should post your question. The reason being that sometimes we have, like, if you post your question right now, there's a lot of comments. We might not be able to see that you posted a question earlier, and people do complain a lot that we're not picking their questions. Okay, we want to make sure that we try to avoid that as much as we can. All right, so thank you very much for that. So I think Brother Derrick is ready, and that is your slide on the screen right there. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, your slide is actually on the screen. Are you ready, Brother Derrick?
Yes, sir, I'm ready. So please, I would use this slide and the other slide. So you help me out, Corey.
Okay, so you want to use it too, right?
Yes, I'll tell you to move to the other one.
Okay, so but not possible? Simultaneously. Are you using them simultaneously? No, you can't use them simultaneously. You can only use one at a time, and then when you're done with this, you switch to the other one.
No problem. So let's start.
All right. So okay, so with that said, Brother Derrick, your 25 minutes start right about now.
Okay, thank you very much. And ladies and gentlemen, brothers, friends, atheists, Christians, all those listening to this important discussion, it's very, very vital that we all pay attention to the information that is being given here in this debate. We are looking at, does God exist? And we listen to a 10-minute presentation. Correct, please, the slide. We listen to a 10-minute presentation without hearing a definition from Henry. Henry ran through the entire presentation without telling us what he means by God. And actually, I anticipated that something like this was going to happen, because when you go through the presentation that Henry did, no definition for God. He doesn't tell us who he's actually arguing against. He doesn't give us any definition, and that is very, I think it's not appropriate to do, because what do you mean by God? In order for us to be on the same page, tell us what you mean by God. So I'm going to look at the definition of the terms, then I'll pay attention and also look at the main crux of this debate. So what we are looking at here is that first, when we talk about God, what do we mean by God? Here, when I talk about God, I'm referring to a disembodied spirit who is incorporeal and infinite in all his attributes. In all his attributes. And when I talk about, when you look at the topic, you find the word exist. What I mean by that is that God is a spiritual reality. God is a spiritual reality. Now, that being said, I'd like you to pay close attention to something in this debate. The law of rationality states that you only follow the evidence where it make conclusions where the evidence leads. You can't just get up and go like, okay, I want to make a conclusion that is not based on evidence or that is not based on real facts, either philosophical argument, either logical argument. We need to look at it carefully and we need to make objective statements in here. Now, going back to the topic, here we are looking at what kind of evidence. I am saying that yes, indeed, God exists. God exists. But the question is that what is my evidence? Is my evidence like that's where you go to the science lab where you are testing God, you are examining God in the lab? Is that the case? Is that what I'm trying to do? No, that's not what I'm trying to say. And that is what we call empirical evidence. And we are not, that is not what the Christian claim has been, that you can see God, taste God, touch God, feel God, as Henry was claiming. No, that's not the argument I'm making here. No, but rather logical reasoning. When we look at the evidence of all the things that surrounds us, when we look at what we see in the universe, does it point us to the conclusion that God exists? That is the question. Because we have so many things that would help us know clearly that yes, indeed, God exists. And I'd like to look at the next thing. Now, when we are looking at evidence, this is one thing you should understand. When we go to the lab, we can perform a litmus test. You can put this in a litmus. Let's say you have an acid and a base. You want to check which one is an acid, which one is a base. In order for you to do that, what do? You get a litmus paper. And even, do you know that before you can determine whether this is an acid or this is a base, you need to know the qualities. You need to know the properties of that particular substance, whether that liquid, whether it's an acid or base. You need to have an idea of what that substance is before you can tell us that is an acid, that is a base. That is what you do in the lab. But when it comes to logical reasoning in the courthouse, and I have an image of the Ghana Magistrate Court, so you can see it there. If you have never seen them, that they are there. When you get to the law court and you want to build a case, it's not every time that we use empirical evidence. Does it mean that we are not able to judge issues right? Yes. Sometimes they make mistakes.
What is your problem?
Sometimes they make mistakes because... Corey, am I getting interruption?
Sorry about that. It's actually from Henry, but I think he's muted himself. Thank you.
All right. So when we look at this, the logical reason or the logical point I'm talking about that in the law court, we're able to determine what is right from wrong. We're able to determine that, okay, this actually happened or that actually happened. And how are we able to make these conclusions? We're able to make these conclusions because we follow logical arguments. Now, it is very interesting. It is also interesting to note that, please, let's look here. All that we are going to discuss, I will come back to this point when we get there. But I will not use this now. We will come back here. In order for us to know the argument or one of the strongest arguments for God's existence, I am going to use the law of cause and effect. And I'm sure Henry is well aware of this because every human being knows this law, the law of cause and effect. You can see on your screen Ghanaian jollof rice. Corey, I know you will not agree, but the Ghanaian jollof rice is better than the Nigerian jollof rice, no doubt. We know that and there's no argument here. Would you tell me that this Ghanaian jollof rice, nicely prepared over there, just happened? Nobody prepared it. It just happened. Would that be your argument, Corey? You don't do that. Henry, would that be your argument? That this jollof, this wonderful prepared jollof, was not made by anybody, but it just happened. You're not going to say that. Rationally, if you argue that this jollof just came from nowhere, you would be called an irrational person, an illogical and inconsistent person. That is what we will call you. Now look at the other side. You have a room that is messed up. There is no form of orderliness in the room. Would you claim that nobody did that? If, for example, we want this room to be neatly arranged, how would that happen? Somebody would have to cause it. Now look at the next argument I have here. This is what the law states. Every material effect must have an adequate and antecedent cause. That is a cause that comes before the effect. So Henry, I am asking this question. We see the universe. We have this universe here. We have this earth here. So I am asking you, Henry, and all those who are listening, how did the universe come about? Where did the universe come from? What caused the universe? You can't tell me that you don't care about this question, because you can't assume that it didn't come from anywhere. Why can't you assume that? Because we have the universe here. So how did it come about? If you reject that God doesn't exist, I am saying that God exists. He created this universe we are living in. And your position as an atheist denies God's existence. So all that your worldview holds is that nobody created what we have here. So how did it come about? And I have three conclusions there that you can pick from. Either the universe is eternal, either the universe is not eternal, it created itself from nothing, or it was created by somebody or someone. You need to choose one. How did we get? You can't brush over it. And with your points that you raise, I will deal with them in the cross-examination. So I will get there. Now, the first answer cannot be true, because science has shown that the universe is not eternal. The universe has a common finite beginning. It is not eternal. So that is false. Now, when you look at the second point, we know exactly that the universe also can't create itself from nothing. Why? Because of the law of thermodynamics. The law of thermodynamics stands against it. So it's not true that it created itself from nothing. Why? Because the law of conservation of energy states that energy can neither be created nor destroyed. Somebody goes like, hey, this law has been disputed. And I hope, Henry, I'm not sure you are going to say that, else there will be a lot of issues that I would have with you and all those listening will have, because you will not be telling us the truth. Now, when we look at all this, the scientific explanation, or what some atheists have given us as a form of explaining how the universe came about, is that it came about by the Big Bang. And I'll be doing a debate on Big Bang. So if you're interested, please get ready to listen to that presentation as well. That is why I've left that out. But nothing produces nothing, ladies and gentlemen. If there was nothing in the beginning and nobody created this universe, then we will still have no universe. So if this universe is here now, then Henry, you need to answer this question. Where did the universe come from? How did it get here? How did life get here? You can't skip this question. You can't skip this question for any other reason. Now, my explanation as a creationist and as a Christian is this. Someone outside of this universe created this universe. Why? Number one, the cause of the universe must be independent of what it produced. That is space, time, matter, and energy. Space, time, matter, and energy, whatever created this universe that we have, should be outside of the universe. So, Mr. Henry, if you are asking, is this true or false? If you want to disprove that this universe the atheistic philosophy is true, and that if you're an atheist, that is good, then you need to answer this question. You need to answer this question, where it came from. Please, let's continue. The slide, please. Now, something independent of the dimension of time is timeless and beginningless. So therefore, my conclusion is this. Therefore, whatever caused the universe must be timeless and beginningless. That is the meaning. Whatever caused the universe must be timeless and beginningless. Now, let's look at my other conclusions that I draw from this. An entity can have a cause only if it has a beginning. One cannot cause a state of affairs if that state of affair already exists. Number 5, therefore, the cause of the universe cannot itself have a cause. Please note my point carefully. The cause for the universe cannot have a cause. Why? Because an entity can have a cause only if it has a beginning. So whatever caused the universe, remember we have stated in point 3 that it is beginningless, it is timeless. Else, how did it come about? So whatever created the universe should be timeless, should be beginningless. Therefore, the cause of the universe cannot itself have a cause. Now, look at this. Let's go to the second slide, Corridor, if you may. Hello, Corridor. Are you there? Okay, thank you very much. Now, this is the point I was making. Okay. I want to quickly get there. Yes. I was point 6. Now, anything existing outside of space and time must be eternal and immaterial. Whatever exists outside of space and time must be eternal and immaterial. Therefore, the cause of the universe must be eternal. Okay. Why am I making these points? Number 8. So to answer the question, how did we get here? How did the universe come about? Will atheism give us the answer? No. Does God exist? Yes. Why? The evidence that we have, the rational evidence, the logical evidence, the consistent position, what it tells us is this, that whatever created the universe, whatever caused the universe is timeless and beginningless. Number two, it is an uncaused cause. Nothing caused it. Number three, one who is eternal and immaterial. That means it's not physical. That means it's not natural like you and I. We are natural. We have plants. It is not natural. So it should be supernatural. Therefore, one who possesses free will, intelligence, emotions, consciousness. Why? Because, Henry, today we see consciousness in the world. Today we see emotions in the world. So if you negate that God doesn't exist, where did emotions come from? How did we come about emotions in the world? You can't escape these conclusions. Therefore, God exists. So that timeless being, that beginningless being, that uncaused cause, that eternal and immaterial free will, that possesses free will, intelligence, that gives intelligence, emotions, consciousness, Christians call that being God. Christians call that being God, and that God exists. If you can deny this conclusion, please do so and let's learn. Please do so and let's learn. Now, the next argument that I'll be pointing out to you is this. Now, you have a blind faith, Henry. Completely. All atheists have blind faith. Christians, my position is this. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. And you are telling us what? What is the atheistic worldview? In the beginning was nothing, and nothing happened to nothing. And then nothing suddenly exploded for no logical reason, creating everything, then bunch of everything magically rearranged itself for no reason whatsoever into self-replicating bits which turned into human beings. Mr. Henry, this is your position. This is what you are claiming. Why am I saying this? If an all-powerful supernatural being exists, then what stops him from creating things ex nihilo? What stops him from bringing things into existence? Because it's all powerful. And you didn't even define what you mean by God. You didn't even define what you mean by God. Now, I'd like to go to the next point. My next argument for saying that God exists is this. It's what we call the design argument, the teleological argument. Henry, please refute any of my positions. Don't say something outside of what I'm saying in your crossfire during the rebuttal session. Please deal with my argument. So far, the atheists have seen none of them deal with the argument that I'm presenting. So please deal with my argument. What is the argument here? The argument says this. Kindly, Corey, let's look at the argument. If the universe shows evidence of definite and intelligent design, then it must have a designer. The universe does show evidence of definite and intelligent design. Therefore, the universe must have had an intelligent designer. Mr. Henry, do we see evidence in the universe of design in the universe or not? Yes, we see evidence of design in the universe. Therefore, some designer should have created it. It couldn't have just happened. Do we see this? So, and in your presentation, when I get to the rebuttal, I'll mention it. You didn't give any argument. You are only stating points. You didn't give any argument. Listen to the argument. The universe shows evidence. Therefore, God exists. What is that evidence? Evidence of design. Now, let's look at something. Now, when you look at this human body that we have, does it look designed or not? Yes, the human body is designed. It's designed in levels, carefully arranged, cells, tissues, organs, systems. Please take out even a single one. Now, look at this. This is what we call the animal cell and the plant cell. Henry, you and I, we have this system where we have the animal cell. In this cell, even if one of the elements stop functioning, you can't exist. It has been carefully designed. Will you tell me that this just happened by chance? That jollof rice that I showed you, did it just happen by chance? Somebody prepared the jollof rice. Somebody prepared it. In the same sense, somebody designed this. You can't see this evidence and tell us it was not designed. Somebody should have designed it. Somebody should have designed it. Now, one interesting thing that I'll talk about again is the DNA. It gives us complex design. That makes you Henry. That makes Derrick. How can you look at this evidence and tell us that it was not designed? And it is true. If you are an atheist, you can't tell me that, yes, this was designed. You can't hold that position, because if you say that, are you telling me that random mechanistic chances created this complex, beautiful design we have here as the animal cell? You can't hold that position. Your point is illogical, it's inconclusive, it's inconsistent. It's completely inconsistent. Now look at something. When we look at the sun, our earth is positioned at the right place called the Goldilocks zone. And this Goldilocks zone is what we know as the habitable zone. Leave this point. If the earth should get 10% closer to the sun, we would go extinct. Should it go 10% away, we will still go extinct. We have been placed in the exact precise location in the universe for life to be possible. How do you look at this design and tell us that nobody designed it? Please, you need to think about your position again. You need to think about your position again. Go to the Bible and look at this. What is man that you are mindful of him, and the son of man that you visit him? Why? Because the universe is enormous. The design in the universe is enormous. So for God to think about us, it's a blessing. It's a blessing. Now, let's look at some other interesting pointers that would strike the whole discussion at its heel. Mr. Henry, I would like to point out this to you. Corey, please, you can skip all that. I want to point out one evidence to him, so you can skip all that, please. Yes. I want to point out the third argument for God's existence. That is the moral argument. The moral argument. Now, Henry said that it doesn't matter, and he started using some emotional arguments here that if you go through life and you see, Mr. Henry, the problem of pain and suffering argues for the existence of God. Mr. Henry, the problem of all atheists listening to me today, please, the problem of pain and suffering rather argues for God. Why does it argue for God? By what basis are you arguing that God, that something is bad? Mr. Henry, by what standard? What is your basis? What is your point? What is your grounds for saying that this is right, that is wrong? You have no basis for saying that, Mr. Henry. You have no basis for arguing that something is right or something is wrong. And in the crossfire, I hope to do more on that. I still have some time left. Now, in order to buttress all the points that I've mentioned concerning God's existence, I would like to make this clear. Unless Henry can deal with even a single one of the arguments that I proposed, he will not be able to refute the idea that, yes, indeed, God exists. He needs to tell us, where did morality come from? Do we have moral absolute in the world? Yes. Do we have objective moral values? Yes. If objective moral values exist, then God exists. Henry was confident, saying that, I noted one of his points, that he believes in love, kindness, integrity. Go to Henry's Facebook page. He has a small picture there that mentions love, kindness, integrity. Henry, by what basis are you calling something love? And what basis are you calling something kind? And by what basis are you calling something that you have integrity? What is your standard? Is it subjective or objective? Tell us. Is it subjective or objective? Because for what you are saying, I mean, you are giving up the debate. Why am I saying that? Once you admit there is love, where did love come from? Did it come from the atheistic world? You know, because random chances. We evolved from primordial soup that over multiplied billions of years. That is the best atheistic explanation about how we got here. So, Mr. Henry, where did you get the love from? Where did you get that concept from? That something is love, something is immoral. When you deny God's existence, how did we get here? How do you come about all these integrity, kindness? Come on, did we form it as a society? No. If you claim we formed it as a society, then I would like to submit to you that what would be your basis for telling another community that chooses to rape people anyhow, a community that chooses to kill people indiscriminately? What is your standard for telling them they are wrong? So if I get up there, so I move from where I am now, Ghana, I come to where you are, and I choose to shoot all your roommates, all the people you live with, would you tell me that I am wrong or right? If you tell me I am wrong, by what standard are you telling me I'm wrong? The chemicals in my brain is actually telling me that I am right. And Henry, if you tell me I am wrong, then you are appealing to a higher law. What law is that? It goes outside of this. And therefore, it leads us to one conclusion. God exists. God exists. So if you ask, and this topic for our conversation is, does God exist? I have given at least 3 evidences for the existence of God. 1, the law of cause and effect. Once we see effect, there should be an antecedent and an adequate cause. How did the universe come about? God created. If you have any other explanation, bring it up and let's examine it. Now, the number 2 is we see design in the universe. How do we see design? The human body, you, Henry, you are the evidence of God's creation. We see evidence in so many places. Then number 3, the moral argument that you claim that is an argument against God's existence, rather proves that God exists. So if you are listening to me, please let's be rational. Please let's reason well. And if you come from the emotional point, in the crossfire and the rebuttal session, I hope to respond to it, all of the pointers that Henry brought up. And brethren, let's follow the evidence where it leads. And that evidence points us to the existence of God. Thank you very much.
All right, so thank you very much, Bro Derrick Danson. Thank you for that presentation. Though if you still have about 2 minutes left, but then since you are done with the presentation, we should go into the cross-examination, into the rebuttal right about now. So we have about 10 minutes for rebuttal for 2 of the speakers. We're going to be starting with Henry, and I believe Henry is ready for his rebuttal right about now. So Henry, I believe you're ready. The rebuttal starts right about now. So your 10 minutes starts right about now.
Mr. Derrick, thank you for that wonderful presentation of yours. But it's obvious that what you are doing is, because I realize what you are trying to do or what you intend to do when you ask me those questions you ask me. Well, initially, I never wanted to go deep into the aspects of who created the universe, how the world came into existence. That is a logical argument. That is an argument you can never win. You can never win. According to you, you said the law of cause, that is, something must be responsible for something. Then you gave an example of jollof rice. Somebody prepared jollof rice. You can't say somebody didn't prepare the jollof. Okay, fine. Then the question here is, somebody prepared the jollof rice. Then who formed, or from where did the person that prepared the jollof rice come from? I don't know if you're getting my point. To you now, you will say, is God created him? You use it as an example. Try to understand the point I'm trying to make. You use jollof rice as an example. There is not possible to have a jollof rice without somebody cooking the jollof rice or preparing it. The question is, the person that prepared the jollof rice, then who prepared him? God is responsible for creation. Okay, fine. Then who created God? If you can believe that God is a creator that has no creator, why don't you believe that it is possible to whatsoever that make God to be a creator without a creator, to be a creator without a creator, to be a creator that creates things without having a creator? Why don't you believe that it is possible for things to come into being without being created by this or imaginary God or something like that? That is, I think I've answered you on that aspect. Notwithstanding that you shifted from the aspect I presented my case to a kind of scientific aspect where people will not be able to understand what you are trying to say. Let me check if I get some of your points. You said I didn't. You said I didn't define God in my presentation. How do you expect me to define God? How do you expect me to define God? We are not debating God's definition. We are debating, does he exist? If I define God, that means he exists. I can't define what I don't believe. For the fact that I don't believe it, because I believe he doesn't exist. If I can give definition of him, that means he exists, and I intentionally choose not to believe in him. I didn't define him because I can't define what doesn't exist. I think I've answered you. You said I didn't define it before giving you a presentation. If I give you a definition of God, that means he exists. You that give definition is because you believe him, he exists. If I give definition, that means I choose not to believe in him. I didn't intentionally choose not to believe in him. I didn't believe in him because I refuse to believe in him because he doesn't exist. He doesn't exist. I think I've answered you on that aspect. He said, something like looking at the universe, we can see evidence for its existence. And you started mentioning things like human being, who created human being, all those kind of things. Let me answer you on that aspect. There is what I personally said about the Bible. This issue of the things about Bible creation, it limits people's ability to think for themselves. How did the world come into be? Oh, you rush to Genesis. In the beginning, God created. How does that make sense to you? You think you have reached the final point where you get the answer of how the world came into existence. Really? It doesn't make sense. You just rush to a book. Okay, before you and I know that that the Old Testament is Jewish Bible. So before Jewish came into being, before the Jewish religion came into being, what is the creation story other religions before Judaism have? What's their creation story? Don't tell me it's the same with Genesis. No, they have a difference, maybe by myths or whatever. They have a different story they use to explain how we got here. You're asking me how we got here. I'm not claiming. You're asking me, how did we got here? I'm not claiming that I know. But it's you who is claiming that you know. We got here because God made us to be here. We got here because God created the universe. Really? He created the universe? Yeah. According to you, you said
Hello, Corday.
Yeah, it seems we have lost. Henry, are you still there? Hello, Henry, are you there? So let me stop this time right now. Henry, are you there? Okay, so folks, it seems that we lost Henry at this point in time. Hello, Henry, are you there? Hello, Henry, are you there? All right, folks. It seems we lost Henry at this point in time. Brother Derrick, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. All right, so folks, it seems we lost Henry. I'm going to ask Brother Henry to come into the studio again, but while waiting for him, let's just go for a minute break, and then immediately after that, I think we should continue with the debate. Thank you. Hi, my name is Kuridela Wayne, and I want to tell you about an important program that is coming up. That's a Christian apologetic program called the Battle of the Act. Now, the Battle of the Act is a Christian apologetic program that seeks to explain the Christian faith to the people of the other faith, and also seeks to also respond to the people of other faith as well. Now, in the Battle of the Act, we're going to be having interviews, we're going to be having short videos, we're going to be having discussions as well. So it's going to be a program that's full of information for primarily the Christians and then those of other faiths as well. So you want to make sure that you subscribe to this channel so you can get updates when the videos started coming out. Now, if you have a question or you have a topic of discussion that you do see us discuss, make sure you send a mail to the mail you're seeing on the screen so we can get this information and then respond or even have some of these topics in our future episode. So thank you very much and watch out for the videos. All right, here. So you're welcome back. So right now we're waiting for Henry to join us again. It seems he had a little bit of internet connection, but then Henry is actually giving his rebuttal of 10 minutes, and then immediately after he's done with that, we're going to go into meet Brother Derrick to do just that as well. So, folks, I just wanted to bear with us while we actually wait for Henry to give his rebuttal. Brother Derrick is still right here with us in the studio, and then immediately Henry is done, Brother Derrick will be able to give his presentation as well. So, I've actually get a contact with Henry, and Henry will be coming into the studio. All right, so Henry is actually right here, and then we should be able to continue. Yeah, Henry, we lost you. I know it was a network issue, no doubt about that. So you still have about 5 minutes, 12 seconds. Do you want to continue, Henry?
Yeah. I have 15.
All right, great. So you can continue with your rebuttal. Thank you.
Yeah, I think I've addressed, I've responded to him on the aspect that I didn't give the definition of God because I can't define what I don't believe. I can't define what doesn't exist. I believe he doesn't exist. If I can define him, that means he exists. And in the other hand, he mentioned things about the cause of the law of cause. That means there must something behind to every reaction. That is to every action. To every reaction, there is a reaction. For something to happen, something must be the cause. Then if the cause of the universe coming into existence is by God, then who created God? I don't want to get into that particular argument because it's like a kind of argument you cannot get to the end. And that is where you're going. I intentionally choose not to include it in my own presentation. And you said human design. Then I wanted to ask before I went offline, you talk about human design. The same Bible that told us we are created in God's image. Are you telling me people that are born with two organs, like male and female at the same time, are you telling me that is the image of God? Are you telling me that is the image and likeness God choose to create them? Children that are born with holes in their hand, in their heart. People that are born with a kind of deadly diseases, newborn babies. Are you telling me that is the image of God? Are you telling me that is the likeness God intentionally choose to create them? You are talking about designer? And you said about morality. Well, when it comes to morality, that's why I said in my opening statement, people like you think the reason for believing in God is to have moral. Without God, you can't have moral. I don't believe in Him. You're asking me where does love come from God? Is the idea of love coming from God is a concept. Is a concept you yourself you develop. I don't believe in Him. That doesn't mean it's a natural something. You don't need to be told. A man don't need to be told to love his wife. A man don't need to be told to love his children. Same way you don't. I don't need Bible. I don't need the fear of God to tell me that this is bad, this is wrong. But you think you can draw your moral absolute from God, but I can't. I can still live without it. So I think to you, it's becoming more obvious that the reason why you believe in the existence of God because you can practice love. That I help people, that I give somebody something, it's not because, just like most Christians do, I'm just helping you for the sake of God. No, when I do it, I do it. This is the essence of life, humanity. This is the essence of life, not because of God. It's not because God is there. It's not for me to do it to please God. No, I'm doing it. That is the essence of life. So there are arguments about where does love come from. It doesn't make sense. And your argument that I should define God doesn't make sense because I can't define what I believe that doesn't exist. You said the area where I try to even the definition of God, which is some attributes about Him, He's Almighty, which I pointed out some problems with it. You didn't even respond to it. You just breezed over it. You breezed over it, and you're talking about somebody preparing something. There must be a reason for it. Then who, the person that prepared it, who prepared it, who formed him? You need to attach faith. See the point here. I'm not claiming that I know how we come here or how we came into being, but it is you who is a Christian is claiming you know, and you don't need to claim what you don't know because you just find a piece of paper, a portion of Bible where it is said, where it gives you, where it limits your ability to question more of how you come here. I don't claim to know what I don't know. That is why I'm arguing, looking around, I see no reason to believe that somebody is in charge of this universe. Somebody must have created this universe. No, I was even expecting you to land on free will aspect of a thing. That is the reason for. But you went into a different direction. Well, you said you see evidence, and I would like you in a rebuttal to outline some evidence about God's creation, evidence of God's existence. Because you never mentioned anything. The 3 points you said you make, the law of cause. Somebody must be responsible to something. Then who is responsible for God's existence? No, nobody. Okay, you believe it. You attach faith. Without faith, you can't believe that there is a God and He came into being without having a creator. And the idea of design, you can't say we are. Doesn't if we are designed by God, that means God is responsible for giving babies. He's responsible for creation of. How does it make sense? How do you explain God being the giver of children and He gives women children, knowing fully well that this baby will not make it during childbirth? He will put it in a woman. At the end, the baby will die in labor room. In most cases, the woman will die while giving birth. Is God mentally deranged? I mean, is He okay? Is God insane? He's a great designer. He designed us. He's a giver. What you're trying to say in conclusion is that He's the giver of children. He gives children. Does it make sense to believe that this all-knowing God created and put in a woman a baby? And during birth, this baby will die. In most cases, the woman will lose her life, leaving her other children, rendering them motherless, subjecting them to suffering. Does it make sense? I believe no God is responsible for creation. Thank you very much.
Correct, I can't hear you.
I'm sorry about that. I muted myself. I'm sorry about that. I muted myself. So guys, you can hear me now, right?
Yes.
Yeah, you can hear you perfectly.
Okay, great. So thank you very much for that, Bro Osuji, for that 10-minute rebuttal. So without much ado, we're going to go back to Brother Danson right now for his 10-minute rebuttal. And Brother, so your 10 minutes starts right about now.
Okay. Thank you very much, Corey. Folks, I would like us to pay attention to what is happening here. This debate is very, very important. And look at some, from what he started by saying that atheists, people have created a bad impression or a bad idea about the name atheist. No, it is because of the worldview you have chosen. Mr. Henry, if you have not paid attention to what is going on here, every worldview has its implications. Every worldview has its implications. I am sure from listening to you, you were just rehashing what Bart Ehrman has been saying, spewing the errors he has been saying out there. That's what you just carried here. You didn't really do the research before coming for this debate. If you did the research well before coming to this debate, you would have realized that you will not even bring that up in the first place. Because, like I mentioned, you are saying that the atheists have created a bad name for themselves. How are they created a bad name for them? It's the worldview. The atheistic worldview says that no higher being created what we have here. So what is your standard? By what are you telling us? That Derrick Danson, this is right, this is wrong. What is your standard? How do you tell me that how do we determine that if Henry rapes 10 ladies, Henry is okay, to Henry it's okay, to Derrick it's bad? How do we live in a society like that? How do you determine? Don't brush it off. No society can brush this off and assume that that is right. Why do we then have constitutions? Because we know that objectively some things are right and some things are wrong, but atheism can't hold that position. Why? Because it is your worldview. That is why most people associate bad things to atheism. Why? Because your worldview suggests that. Now, the importance of this debate is this. If the atheistic position that Henry is holding is true, then we are nothing but organized matter. Nobody created us. And Henry is here telling us that he doesn't know how we came and it doesn't matter. Really, Henry, who told you it doesn't matter? It matters. And I'm glad at least you're admitting that you don't know. Once you're admitting you don't know, that means you should be open to learn. And I'll help you know which one is the truth, if only you are ready to learn. If only you are ready to learn. Then I've already responded to the love kindness issue. Then he goes further to say that he can't define. How do you expect me to define God that I don't believe in? Oh, really? Mr. Henry, you really surprised me. Please, Corey, you might, I would just want a quick response. Please, Corey, just quick response. Corey, have we ever known whether Corey or not? Santa Claus, Father Christmas, is not a real figure. Unicorn, flying horses with the horn. If you have seen images of it, you can check online. They do not exist, but we can define them. Does it mean unicorns exist if you can define them? Oh, Henry, you need to be rational in this conversation. The fact that you can define unicorn doesn't mean unicorn exists. The fact that you can define Father Christmas, Santa Claus, doesn't mean that Santa Claus exists. No. So there are things that do not exist, but we can define them. God exists. So we have definition for God. How can you debate something you don't know? This has really, really helped me a lot in this debate. Anybody who holds on to this atheistic position, put it in a comment section. Tell us your definition of God. If you can't define God, how then do you say that he doesn't exist? How do you imagine? I can't even imagine. The negative position Henry is taking is that God doesn't exist. Who is God? I don't know who God is, but I think he doesn't exist. Really? You can't define who you think doesn't exist. So you are debating the air. Come on, Henry. Any atheist who holds this position has been called. You should at least see that by that you are being irrational. By that you are being illogical. By that you are being inconsistent. Therefore, you need to think about it again. You need to think about it again. Then he goes further to say that which God exists. Really, which God exists? The God that exists among the religions you mentioned is the God of the Bible. How do we know that? This God gave us evidence of his existence by sending forth his son into this world. And you admit that Jesus Christ is a historical figure. Jesus is the unique son of God, the monogenesis. He is unique. He is the only unique son of God. You admit he existed. If you agree that Jesus Christ exists on this earth, I told you last week that the mere fact that you agree Jesus Christ is a historical figure is one of my greatest points for saying that the God of the Bible exists. Because Jesus Christ performed miracles. He did a lot of things. Yes, Jesus Christ is a historical figure. Therefore, that God has given us evidence of his existence through that man, Jesus Christ. The God of the Bible exists. Now, you came further to talk about the problem of suffering and evil. Corey, please move to the slide I gave. I want to show something. Please. Yes. The strongest argument atheists have ever given to those of us who believe in God and agree that the evidence points to his existence is this: pain and suffering. They go to 1 John 4:8. God is love. God is almighty. God is all powerful. So if God is all powerful, loving, how then would he allow pain to happen? Epicurus actually proposed some of these theories. And let me skip that and go here. Please, Henry, you have no coherent definition of evil. You can't tell me something is evil. Why? If there is no God, why call something good or bad? If humans evolved over millions of years by accidental processes, how could humans have any idea about what is evil and what is good? Henry, tell me that. You said you don't even know how we came about. So how then do you think that we got emotions? How do you think we got emotions? Did it just evolve? Did it just happen that human beings just happen to have emotions? No. Somebody gave it to us. And if all humans were simply the product of evolution, then every person's opinion would be just as right as all other people's opinion. Refute this and let's see. If you are an atheist, how do you refute this? That your opinion is better than mine? No. That if I go out there, pick a gun and shoot 10 people, I am wrong? By what standard are you judging me? You need a higher standard. Now look at what the atheist says. Naturalistic evolution has clear consequences. This is not Derrick saying it. This is Dr. Provine. He's an evolutionist and he says this. That he says naturalistic evolution has clear consequences that Charles Darwin understood perfectly. Number one, no gods worth having exists. Number two, no life after death exists. Number three, no ultimate foundation for ethics exists. Are you seeing that? The implication of atheism suggests that you can't have a standard for telling me that when you go through the Bible, somebody gave birth and the child died, therefore it is bad. By what standard are you saying it's bad? Unless you borrow from the Christian worldview. I mean, at this point in this debate, you don't even know who God is. You don't know what you're debating, so I would grant that to you. But if you continue, there will be nothing like stealing, raping, corruption, bribery, murder, sexual immorality, sacrificing of babies won't be wrong. The problem for those who don't believe, it's rather a problem for those who don't believe in the God of the Bible. It is a problem for you. If there are things that are truly good and truly evil, then God must exist. It turns out that the fact that evil exists is a problem for those who don't believe in God of the Bible, not for those who do. Yes, and you were downplaying the argument of design. Really, Mr. Henry, you are playing the argument of design. We see design in the universe, and you tell me that that design came about randomly. You said you don't know how it came about, and I'm submitting to you. It came because somebody made it. And your question was that, where did God come from? Henry, you are asking a very wrong question. You are comparing wrong categories. If you ask me, where did God come from? This is what you are doing. It's like asking me, how loud can silence be? Imagine, how loud can silence be? Really? You are comparing two wrong things. So if I answer that question, I'll be wrong. I'm telling you that God is an uncaused cause. And you ask me, but what do you mean by that? Please look at the definition of the law of cause and effect. I said, to every material effect, there is an adequate antecedent cause. Note that. To every material effect. In point one, when I was establishing that God exists, I mentioned that whatever caused this universe cannot itself be material, because we see material, we are in a material universe. So whatever created the universe can't be material. And you're here telling me that God should be created. You are using a wrong category. You are comparing mangoes and oranges. You are comparing bananas and oranges. Please compare. You ask the correct question. God is an uncaused cause. God is a necessary being. Without him, nothing would come into existence. So it is very, very wrong for you to ask that. And you were making an emotional claim. Now let me tell you this, Henry. Please, Corey, let's show the slide. Please, quickly. Corey, please. Yes. So this is the argument. If God does not exist, then objective moral values do not exist. Number two, evil exists. Therefore, objective moral values exist. That is to say, some things are really evil. Therefore, God exists. And we can talk more about this. Now, if you are using an emotional appeal, Henry, this is your response. You are claiming many people are suffering and in the hospitals, and you are using Bart Ehrman's argument. I told you should have done a research before coming. Many people are also getting better daily in hospitals. Therefore, God exists. This is an emotional claim. It's an emotion, and I don't subscribe to this argument that people are falling sick. People are also getting better. COVID-19, when COVID-19 came, most parts of the world, when you go to China, US, the almighty USA, they were suffering. Come to Ghana. We did not record so many cases like the way the United States and the other places recorded. Then you go like, therefore, God exists. So those who died in US, what about them? That is a weak argument, and I don't use that. If you're a Christian, don't use that. It's poor. That there was a car accident, everybody died. Only me, I'm the only person who did not die. Therefore, God exists. Oh, no, God has given us free will. Henry, God, and you said you did not hear me talk about free. You were thinking you're coming to hear what you want to hear. You'll be hearing the truth today. You are hearing the truth today. So my time is up, and I am saying that God indeed exists. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much for that presentation. But then the time was beeping, and then
I only heard it.
Yeah. Oh, sorry about that. Sorry about that. It has been beeping for almost about, I think, 5 times or 6 times or so.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, but
I'm
it's
sorry.
okay. Yeah, it's okay. Yeah, it's okay. Thank you very much for that presentation. So, folks, we're done with the very presentation for the very beginning. We had the opening statement. Now we have the rebuttals. So now we're going to be going to the cross-examination. This is one aspect of the debate that I usually love, and I know a lot of people actually love that as well. So at this point, we're going to be having Henry cross-examining Derrick at this point in time. So what it means is that Henry is going to be engaging Derrick for 10 minutes. All right. So Derrick has the opportunity to answer the questions that will be posted by Henry. So folks, I believe we're actually, gentlemen, we're ready right about now. Great.
Yes, sir.
Are we ready? Okay.
Ready.
So so the cross-examination, Henry, the cross-examination starts right about now. Oh, you're muted. Okay, yeah.
Mr. Derrick, thanks for that. Thanks for that rebuttal. But honestly speaking, where I'm not impressed with your statement is where you said I came with Bat Ehrman, whatsoever you said. Listen, we are thinking people. Somebody need you whatever you know today. You are inspired by people. Then you make use of your brain. You figure out. Let me tell you something. 11 years ago, or maybe 10 years ago, I lost my mother to stroke. My mother was everybody prayed, the church prayed, and so my mother was taken to a place where there is a prayer house along the line. One day, my father was returning from where he was taking care of my mother. No, I'm coming to you. Then along the line, in the process of this issue, listen, you have numerous verses where you can say, you pray, God answer your prayer, whatsoever. In this process, I lost my mother. Everybody prayed. We hope on God. Does that mean that the same perspective I used to approach the existence of God based on what I passed through is the same with Bat Ehrman you're talking about? No, I use my own personal experience to figure out, does God really exist or not? So on that aspect where you're talking, honestly, I'm not impressed with it. So you need to, I don't like that. So coming to the aspect where you talked about, he said atheists can't differentiate good from bad since they don't believe in God. What I want to ask you, does being able to differentiate good or bad, does having moral comes from God? Without believing in God, does it mean one can't have moral?
Thank you very much. That's a very great question. I sympathize.
I have a lot of questions for you. So you need to make it good. No, I have a lot of, no, you have to answer me because I have a lot of questions for you.
So in the first place, I would like to really, really sympathize with you for the loss of your mom. Okay. Yes.
No, that is by the way. I don't like the way that approach you.
So in responding to that, you see, Henry, we should understand something, and that is one thing I think most atheists tend to miss. Humans have free will. Henry, what happened is like this. For example, somebody doesn't take good care of him or herself. Okay. Then
I have 10 minutes for my question. I said having moral, being able to different. No, being able to differentiate the first statement
Ah,
is
okay. You said a
being
lot of
able
things.
to
I was trying to
differentiate being
respond.
able to
All right.
differentiate good from bad. Does it mean does
Yes,
it
sir.
mean
Yes, I've heard you. I've heard you. So what you are saying
yes?
is
It's a
moral
simple yes or
absolute.
no.
Yes, it comes from God. Moral absolute.
So without believing in God, you can't have moral
May I
absolutes.
answer,
You
Henry?
can,
Henry, whether you believe in God or not, God, when He created man, placed conscience in the minds of everybody. Before
this
the
is
Bible says,
you have
Henry,
just
let
answered
me
me. You have
answer.
answered me
No,
simple. You have
Henry, let me
answered me
answer. You posed
simple.
me a
You have
question. Let me
answered
answer.
me. According to you,
Henry,
is from God. According to you, you said it's from God. Leave your explanation. According to you, it's from God. It's from
how do
God.
you say that I should leave the explanation? Yes, I've answered. Let me
No,
explain.
forget the explanation. According to you, you say it's from God, but I said it's not from God. That's why I told you in my opening statement. This debate, we need to approach it based on personal perspective. To me, it's not from
Henry,
God. To you,
that's
it's from God.
objective.
I
Okay, I'll
don't
get to
believe
it.
in God. I don't believe in God. Anything I don't do it for the sake of God exists. I do it because it is something necessary for me to do. It is you who is forcing that God, that impact of like God imparted. I don't believe
No,
in being a
if God
creature of God.
exists, then the moral implication is to how do you determine
No.
that if I rape Henry, how do you determine if I rape your sister? Have I done the bad thing?
Okay, if you rape
Have
my
I
sister,
done the
of
bad
course,
thing?
of course, of course, of course.
Why are you saying I've done the bad thing?
Because I myself I can be able to differentiate it without even
No,
looking at
to
the
me it's
Bible.
also it's good.
Yeah?
To me it's good. So why are you telling me I'm doing the wrong thing?
That is from my own perspective. Is
Yeah,
wrong.
so you see, you are submitting to
But then
Henry,
what you are doing now, what you are doing now, what
Henry, listen,
wait,
Henry, let me
wait.
answer. This is what we call the transcendental argument. With the transcendental
You are
argument,
prolonging my time. You are prolonging my now. You have realized that you raped my sister, seeing
yes.
it as good thing, and I see it as bad thing. But we both are created from the same God. So why do
Very
you,
good.
so
So this is
if I
why
can
if
be
you
able to
claim that I
differentiate
am
bad,
wrong,
if
Henry,
I
if
can
you
be
claim
able to
that I am
differentiate,
wrong, you have to submit to a higher law other than our subjective morals.
no, you are making a
Then
theological
then
argument.
I don't have, the police
We
shouldn't
both,
arrest me for
according to you, we both are created by God, and it is without believing in God or without God existence, we can't have moral absolute.
No, you are
God
just
created
denying.
you.
You are just denying that there's a higher law.
God created you. According to you, God created you. God created me. Okay, fine. Then you rape my sister
Yes.
because it's good for you. It means it's not God that
No,
created you. It's devil.
wait. I am
That is
saying
not
that
right. Forget about that. Forget about that.
worldview.
If there was God, how can we be able to differentiate good? You said if there was no God, we can't be able to differentiate good and bad. That is like saying if there is no God, we can't be able to help people. We can't be able to know that helping
On
people
what basis
can
do
be
you
our
have to be
source.
mechanistic, the atoms and the
No,
chemicals?
okay.
Why are you helping the person? Why?
No. Listen,
Why are you
I don't
helping
have
the
much
person?
time. I help because I know this is something necessary to do. But you, when you help, you think
because there's no
it's
life after
something
death.
necessary.
Why?
See, helping people doesn't mean you need to do it in order to please God or in order to inherit.
Can I then
I
go
know
ahead
that
and
is
kill
that is
Can I then
something.
go ahead and be killing people? Can I also go ahead and be killing people? You are doing good. I choose to kill people. Can I go ahead and be killing people?
If you kill people, and you think that is right for you, that is for your own, and you made that.
So
I
then the
see it
police
as
shouldn't arrest me. I've not done anything wrong.
It is police. It is the same police who think that your own perspective of killing is wrong will arrest you. If they subscribe to your idea, they will not arrest you.
Really?
What all we are talking about? Yeah, according to you, the fact you said we can't be able to differentiate if it.
You are being forced to accept an illogical, irrational, inconsistent position. I submit to you. Please think about it again.
According to you, we can't be able. Atheists can't be able to differentiate good from bad.
Yes.
If they don't have, if they don't believe in God.
You don't have any standard. You can differentiate, but you don't have a standard for saying it's bad or wrong, bad or right.
I have okay. What's your standard? If you that believe in God, what's your standard for that? For differentiating?
That standard comes from that all-powerful, all-knowing.
First.
It comes from Him. It stems from Him because He created us and He added it to us. So I asked Henry, where does the emotions come from? Where does the concept of the integrity come from? Who gives? Who?
It's something within. It's something within. It's something within. No, it's something within us. It's something within us. It's something within us. And you are first, and you yourself that is the one. Wait, you are forcing me to believe it's within me because somebody created it in me.
You said
it doesn't make
sense.
In us.
I didn't get that part. You said there's something in us.
I said You said how? What was the question, sir? You said how are we
You said
able
there
to
is something
differentiate?
in us that makes us. That's what you said.
To be able to differentiate
What is in us?
good from bad.
What is that thing in us?
What is
Because
in
as
us?
an atheist, you don't accept. Why are you accepting something which is immaterial? Where are you getting that
Okay.
concept from?
No,
Please
you yourself,
note,
you yourself, you're misunderstanding.
Hello, gentlemen. Brother Derrick, please note that you cannot ask him questions at this point in time. He's the one cross-examining you. All right, gentlemen, you can go on.
Mr. Derrick, listen.
Sorry.
When it comes to
Sorry,
when
you
it
know
comes,
what
see,
it
let me
is.
tell you, when it comes,
I need to
when
help
it comes to
you
the
out.
when it comes to the existence of God, you don't need to debate it. Debate it in a state where people can make use of their brain, where people can understand the point you are trying to. You said we can't define God, but we have some attributes of God.
I didn't
It's
say you
all
can. I
powerful.
said you can define God.
No,
You
you
said
said
you can.
atheist. You said atheist. How can I debate what I don't know? You
That's
said
what
how can I?
You've not defined God.
Then I told you that for the fact that I don't believe in him is because he doesn't exist, and I have looked around. I see no evidence for his existence. That is the
Is that a
point. That is
question?
where I stand.
Okay, so ask your questions.
And you yourself, you continue to say no, he exists, and you said something like I believe because you believe that God exists because he sent his son. Does Jesus being a historical figure, is that an evidence for God's existence?
Yes, sir.
Jesus, he said, okay, let me tell you. He said, according to you, yes. According to me, no. Now let me tell you. You believe it's an evidence for God because you believe John reincarnation Christology. He's the son of God who was with the Father and God sent him. But I believe he was born.
It's your assumption. No. No. It's your assumption.
Okay, wait.
I've not said that.
Wait.
Don't use it. I've not said it.
Then
I haven't
if
said
that
it.
is the case, if
Don't use it.
Fine. If that is not the idea you subscribe, then if Jesus was born by
ask me a question.
If Jesus was born by the union of Joseph and Mary, so how does that serve as an evidence for
Joseph and Mary?
You are subscribing to the no. This is where we have a pure disagreement.
We can have a debate on that.
He was born by
that's
virgin.
my position now.
Then there is that your evidence doesn't serve the purpose of this debate. Saying God, Jesus being a historical figure is an evidence for.
All right, yes, gentlemen, thank you very much. Really appreciate that. Okay, so we're gonna be resetting the time right now, and then Brother Derrick, your 10 minutes for the cross-examination starts right about now.
Okay, the first question I have for Mr. Henry is this: Mr. Henry, do unicorns exist?
What?
Unicorn. Do you know unicorn?
How does it relate to the issue we're talking about? So
I'm
the point
asking,
you are trying to say.
I'm asking. I
don't know what
answer.
you're
If you don't have an answer, tell me you don't have an answer. Don't tell me that. If you don't have an answer, please.
I don't have an answer to it. I don't have an answer to it.
Thank you very much. Does Santa Claus exist? Do you think Santa Claus exists?
Yes.
You think Santa Claus exists?
Yeah, Santa Claus. You see them?
So you think Santa Claus actually exists? All right.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Now, Mr. Henry, let me ask this question. Please, Corridor, I have a second image here I want to show. It's already in the studio. Please help me show it. Yes. Mr. Henry, I sent you these questions ahead of time. For the purpose of this debate, I wanted you to look at it way ahead of time before we meet. So please, let me ask. Henry, is matter eternal?
Everything, all the question you need to ask me has to be with what we are debating.
It is in regards to the topic we are debating. Does God exist? So please answer.
All of this question is
eternal. If you have no answer, please tell me.
That is not what you're talking about. That is not the topic.
Henry, is matter eternal?
We are not doing science. That is not the topic of the debate. We are debating about God's existence.
Oh,
I have no answer to that.
Okay.
I have no answer to that.
Thank you very much.
It has nothing to do with what you are debating.
Thank you. No problem. So the next question. Can we have random mechanistic processes creating anything in the universe?
I have no answer to that.
Okay. Then the next question. The law of
You are wasting
let
your
me
10
say
minutes.
that.
You are wasting your
I'm
10
not
minutes.
wasting my 10
Let
minutes.
you-
Please, it's
all
my
of
time,
your
so let me
all
use
of
it.
your
Please
all
let
of your
me use
questions
it.
supposed to be under the premises
Please
of
let
our.
me use it. Please allow me.
Okay.
Allow me. Is it possible that the justice of God could entail any punishment for sin?
I don't believe in God, so I don't know about His justice.
If suppose, let's assume that God exists.
I can't make such assumption.
Okay, Henry. Now let me ask. Corridor, please. You may leave the questions. You may now leave the questions. Okay, thank you very much. Henry, let me ask you this question.
Yeah.
One, you are claiming you are making an emotional appeal. Number two, you are debating what you don't even know. You can't even define. So how should I accept anything that you have said so far against God? Because you don't know what you are debating. Why should I listen to anything you have said?
Are you asking me
That's
a
a question.
question?
Yes.
Okay. Like
Why
I said
should
in
we
my opening
listen to you?
statement,
Because you don't know what you are debating.
it's you who is saying somebody is responsible, somebody exists. Like you said, there is a divine being who exists called God, and he is
What do you mean by
responsible for
divine
our
being?
well-being.
What do you mean by divine being? What do you understand by divine being?
You said God exists. That is not what I'm talking
What do you
about. You
mean by
said
that's my
God
question?
exists.
What do you mean by divine being?
Are you processing me? You asked me a question. I have to respond to you. I have to
So
respond to
respond.
you.
What is
So
the meaning of divine being?
you said that is not the question you asked me. You said there is a divine being according to you. You said there is a deity responsible for the well-being and the affair
I'm
of
not
this
using the
world.
word. I'm asking, what is the divine being?
What is God? Then even
Yes.
you that is talking about, you have not defined God. You I don't know God. You yourself, you should define it for me. Then
Henry, you
you
had your
asked
time
me.
to ask questions, but you didn't use it well. You can't clearly define it. Okay, thank you very much.
You asked
My
me a
next
question.
question.
Asked me a question,
Yeah,
and
my
I
next
tried to
question.
respond to you,
Henry,
and you are still adding another question. It doesn't make sense.
yes, because you are not able to define. You don't have a definition. So let's move on.
No, I have no definition
Okay,
because it
Henry,
doesn't exist.
you made an emotional claim that bad things are happening around. Therefore, how can that God, whose attribute says that he's supposed to be good, all righteous, all knowing, how can he allow all these bad things to be happening? And somebody gives birth and all that. Please, Henry, when you go to the hospitals, we have so many people who are getting better. When you come to Ghana, COVID-19, but we had opportunity. Most of Ghanaians did not die. So let me ask you, Henry, would you say that because we had fewer people dying in Ghana, and everything, as we are speaking, so many people are being born. Today, as we are speaking, many grandmothers, they are kissing their daughters and their sons and their grandchildren, and they are so fulfilled, they are happy. Would that argument be enough to convince you that God exists?
It will not. Why? Because
Okay, so
I know.
That means that to say that there are bad things in the universe will not also be enough to say that God doesn't exist. Yes or no?
No. Because I believe that is just the way the world is. But if you yourself, if you insist that
How is
insist on the
how
basic,
is the world? How is the world?
if you insist on the basis that there is somebody responsible, there is somebody that is regulating everything, all of then you have a question, you have an explanation for those inconveniences.
Okay, Henry, thank you very much.
Predicaments.
So I get your answer. So your answer, Henry's answer to my question of the emotional claim is that he thinks that the bad things in the world is an argument against God, but all the good things that are happening in the world is not an argument for God. Thank you very much. Now, Henry, please, I'm asking my question. Thank you very much. Okay, so you again made reference to the argument from the problem of evil. Henry, does humans have free will? Do you have the free will to do whatever you want to do?
It's you that is bringing the ideology of free will.
Henry, I'm asking a question. Do you have free will to do what you do? Yes or no?
If I have free, if the ideology
yes
of free will explain the problem.
Yes or no?
I don't have free will, because if I have free will, that means God must have imparted it on me. I don't have free will. I don't have free will that is from God.
Relax.
I don't have free will. I don't have that free will you are defining. That is the free will given by God, because it doesn't explain the problem.
How am I defining free will, Henry? How am I defining free will?
No. The method you want to use
is
God
give
us free will. Because the method
Henry,
you want to use
answer my question. How am I defining free will?
Because God gave us free will. That is the most popular argument.
You are saying my definition.
That is the most popular argument. That is the most popular argument Christians make. That is the popular freeway, but that freeway doesn't explain the.
Don't talk about somebody else. Henry, Derrick is here. I said you mentioned that my definition of free will. What is the meaning of free will?
I don't have free will that comes from God, but I have free will to do what
do
I
you
have
mean by
free will to choose what is God. No. Okay, I have free will. I have free will, but it's not from God. To do what I choose to do, to do what I like.
So you are saying you don't have the right to do what you want to do. Is that what you are saying?
I have the right because it's in me.
You're contradicting yourself. You have contradicted yourself.
No. I listen to my statement. I said I don't have that. I don't have that free will you are talking about. God gave us free will to do this, to do that, to give explanation.
Henry, I just ask a simple question. Do you have free will? Yes or no?
I have the ability to choose whatever I want to do, good or bad. I have the ability.
So you have free will.
You can use it. You can use any word for that. I have the ability. I have the right. I have the choice to do whatever. So you can use any.
Okay.
Any
Initially, you said you have no free will. Now you have free will.
No. You contradict me.
I have no other question. Thank you. Highly inconsistent. I'm proving today that inconsistency is a mark of failed argument. Please write it somewhere. Sure. Inconsistency is a sign of failed argument, and that's what Henry has done. Irrational, illogical, inconsistent positions. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you very much, gentlemen. Really appreciate that. Cross-examination was really spot on. It was also hot, like some people would say. But folks, I think you're actually learning something right here. This is actually a very, very important topic of discussion. Does God exist? All right, that is the big question. And that's what we're looking at right now. So gracefully, we've been able to have the presentation from the two speakers. Now we have the reporters. Just concluded is the cross-examination 10-minute each. Now we're getting to the question and answer, and this is where you come in as the audience. So what it means is that you as the audience have the opportunity to ask your question right about now. Like I said earlier, if you want to ask your question, make sure you type in capital letter the word question. Type it in capital letter and let it be followed by your question. Please do not write this dissertation or a long essay. Let it just be brief and simple so we can actually pick those questions and answer them. 3 questions will be picked from the Christians and 3 from the atheist as well. Somebody just corrected me that it's not an atheist, it's an atheist. All right, thank you very much for that. So atheist, yeah. So 3 questions.
Happy that I have my partner here.
Yes, your brothers are here.
Don't mind them.
All right, so we already have the first question coming in right now. And please note, for the speakers, you have 2 minutes to answer the question, and then there will be 1 minute counteracting the questions that will be answered. So here's a question from Mensa. All right, Michelle Mensa is asking a question. It's a question to the atheist. He should explain how Jesus, a claim existed historically, was born without sexual intercourse if there is no God. All right, so okay, yeah, I think that still ties into the question of the topic of discussion for today. So you have 2 minutes to answer this question, Henry, and your 2 minutes start right about now.
Should I answer?
Yeah, go ahead. Your 2 minute question.
Okay,
your 2 minutes already started.
That person picked that question from evidence Derrick used to establish his evidence for God's existence. My brother, Jesus being a historical figure is not an evidence for God's existence, because for you to use that as evidence for God's existence, first you have to subscribe to John's incarnation Christology, that he was with the Father before the beginning and later reincarnated. You have to first of all have that concept of John Gospel incarnation Christology. We have the historical Jesus have brothers. James the Just is his brother. Why doesn't James serve as an evidence for God's existence? Jesus is just a mere human being. He was not, but the first second appearance of Jesus in Talmud, Mary was accused of being impregnated by a Petran, or a Roman soldier named Petran. He was said to be a bastard. Jesus was said to be a bastard in Talmud. So Jesus as a historical figure is not evidence for God's existence, because he is a mere human being. He has sisters. He was not born by a virgin, because even in Mark's gospel, just like last week I mentioned, he was accused of going insane, which Mary was among the people that took him up from the public. That shows that Mark, the first gospel, don't have that virgin birth Christology. I think I've answered him.
All right. So thank you very much for that. So, yeah, but Derrick, you have 1 minute to respond to that question.
You actually left some 30 seconds. Can I add it to my time?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, because of time. Sorry, because of time.
If you listen to last week's debate, Henry only gave us 2 references. Even he did not even read what the history said when he mentioned that Jesus Christ is a historical figure. I distributed my slides that I used for the debate, an updated version. Please try and get it and look at it. I've placed more evidences in there. Even Pliny the Younger, that Henry claimed that is a historical proof for Jesus' existence, claimed that yes, indeed, the early Christians worship Jesus Christ as God. What are you saying? That your own history, you see what I said about inconsistencies. Your own history says that Jesus Christ was worshipped as God. And you come back and tell us that I accept part of that history that Jesus Christ existed, but I don't accept that part that says that he is not God. Jesus Christ is God. And it is not because of John's gospel. I've not said that. You are the one making that up. Go to Matthew. Matthew, I proved it. Matthew teaches Jesus is God. And all those things. So yes, you are just inconsistent.
Okay, so here's another question. Thank you very much for your response, Brother Derrick. Here's another question, and this is also going to Henry again. And here's a question. He said, Bro Henry, if you have free will, and I do, and I choose to kill my, I think something in
whatever, either sister or brother.
Okay, yeah. Should you say I'm wrong because your will and mine aren't the same? So that's the question to you, and your 2 minutes start right about now.
Well, if you are to kill your brother, and to you, it is on your own, from your own perspective, from your own will, it is bad. It is not. It is good. To me, that understand it not to be moral, I will not accept it. So we have a kind of a distant difference here. You killed your sister. I have the free will to tell you it's wrong, but I don't have the free will I don't have the ability to judge you, because from your own, if it is in your culture for everybody to kill his sister, I don't need to use my own culture to judge you that what you did is wrong. It's your own culture. But I will tell you based from my own perspective, because it's just like when you write 6, it's like when you write 9. If you're looking at the 9 from the other direction, it will look like 6. And when you're looking at it from the other side, it will look like 9. So I can't just say, no, this is 9, because from my own side of view, it is 9. It's showing 9. And you yourself, this is 6. From your own side of view, it is showing 6. So I will explain to you that it is wrong from my own side of view. But if your own side of view, but it is Christians or somebody like Mr. Derrick who said, this is wrong. So I can judge you because God, because a book somewhere told me that anybody that does this is wrong. I think I've answered him.
Henry, you are so wrong. I never mentioned that a book says that something is wrong. I've not spoken about. I told you that even before the Bible. If your moral
comes from God,
the Bible was.
Henry, you're done with your answer. So that is the reason why Derrick is doing his 1 minute. So yes. Derrick, continue.
Yeah.
Even before the Bible was written, men knew what was morally right objectively before the Bible was written. What are you telling me that I am referencing the Bible? You are the one quoting the Bible all over today. You brought it up. I never pointed to the Bible. You did. And when you talk about morality, whether it's objective or subjective, Henry, you see, you're having a big issue with it because you are not looking at it in a rational way. If you tell me that to you have free will, I also have free will. What do you mean by free will? It should be a standard. Else, like you're saying that one society decides to do what is bad. Some time ago, when the Adolf Hitler started destroying the Germans, if you know about this story, he killed so many Jews. When they wanted to judge them, they judged him with a higher law. Their own community said that it's right, but the higher law said it wasn't right. It's always a moral absolute.
All right, thank you for that. So now another question is coming to Henry. It seems all the question is coming to Henry today. Henry, you have your members right here, so I expected that they should be sending their question to Brother Derrick. All right.
I
So
don't.
probably by the time we go down, we should be able to see
Corey,
their
let me
question.
correct
All
this.
right. So
Last time
yeah,
somebody commented that. Corey, somebody commented that they are not my church members. Some of them I don't know them. Majority I don't know them. And I'm glad. You see, when truth arrives, error vanishes. That is the point.
all right. Okay. So let's actually move on. Okay. So I think this one also is to Henry. I'm actually trying to pick one out of the ones that I have right here. Okay. Okay.
Bring
So I
all,
think this
bring
one
all,
is
bring all,
to
bring all,
yeah. I think
And
this
make
one is
sure you
actually to
answer
Bro Derrick. Yeah.
it's answered.
bring all.
There's this young man right here, Yehuda Ben Yassi. It says, if there is God, where is that God located? So I think this one is for you,
Yeah, common sense
Derrick.
from
And
Ghana.
you have 2 minutes to answer this, and the 2 minutes start right about now.
Thank you very much. Another wrong question. You see, when you are asking questions, you need to ask questions that are right, Yehuda. You need to ask right questions. Like I mentioned, how do you tell me that, hey, the smell of color blue is so nice? What do you mean by the smell of color blue? You are comparing two wrong categories. You can't smell a color. You see colors. You don't smell colors. You're asking me where is God located, as if there is a physical, subjective location somewhere that you can pinpoint. Before this universe was created, space and time itself was created by God. So what you call our material space location, our material location, God brought it into existence. So where was he? His spirit, immaterial. So he doesn't have a defined location. And sometimes people get this wrong concept because when they read the Bible, they come in with their wrong notions. They come in with their wrong notions. They say heaven. So you'll be Christians, when you die, you go to heaven. There's an afterlife. Therefore, they are thinking of heaven as a physical, some location in space somewhere. No, please understand the categories. There is that of the spiritual and that of the physical. God is a spiritual being. He doesn't have a physical location as you understand location to be. No, that is not the point. So please approach this well. And that is my response to him.
Can I respond to that?
Yep. I'm sure
Yes, please. You can do that in the next 1 minute. And 1 minute starts right about now.
You didn't answer the guy. What you did is to attach faith. You are attaching faith because I believe he exists and he is outside the time and whatever.
That's why I believe he exists. There's evidence that he exists.
No, relax. This is my time. This is my time.
This is his time, Derrick. Yeah.
Last week, Mr. Korede will understand this musician, Harry Song said, in the beginning, God created heaven and earth. So where was he before the creation? He created heaven and earth. It's similar to what this guy is asking. You said he created you, and in your statement, you said before he created earth and heaven and the matters and other things, he was spirit or whatever. How do you prove that? How do you prove that? That is imagination. That is assumption attached with faith. Faith, which is an evidence of which is as a result
evidence
of absence of evidence.
Evidence of things.
No. Evidence of absence of evidence. Absence of evidence. Faith is absence of evidence. You didn't answer him. Where was him? You are claiming to know what you don't know. Where was God when he created this thing? He created heaven and earth.
All right. Thank you very much for that. I want to plead with you, gentlemen, no interruption when question is being asked so that we can actually move further. Okay, so 2 questions have been taken by Bro Henry, and this is the last one that should be given to you right now. We're still expecting 2 questions to Bro Derrick. Okay, so here's the last question to Bro Derrick.
Don't have,
this one is coming from Kokola. Sorry?
If Brother Derrick don't have any question, bring both the one that's supposed to come to him, channel it to me.
No, we're not gonna do that. We just want to make sure that we're just all right. So here's the last one coming to you right now. So here's a question to you, Brian. He says, if God doesn't exist, how do you want to account for your existence? Also, if you believe the evolution as an atheist and agree we are product of evolution, what next are we evolving to? So that's the question to you, and you have 2 minutes to answer the question, and the 2 minutes start right about now.
Well, they account for my existence, like I said before. I don't need to say things I don't know. I don't need to tell you. I just came into existence because I came out from Mango. I appear from nowhere. No, I can't say what I don't know. It is only the opposition party that I'm debating with who is claiming to be sure of where he come from. And I'm saying, when you contrast your evidence of what you claim to be sure about, that it is God, when you contrast it with reality, it doesn't correspond. Saying, how do I account for my existence if God doesn't exist? I don't believe he. Okay, so what about those that die? What about those that? Okay, what about those that? Will I just say there are some people who's supposed to come into being, but they are not born, or they just by miscarriage. So how do you explain that if we are the creation of God? I came into being. I was born after 9 months. Okay, what about those that miscarriage caused? How do you explain that? Those babies that are conceived and they are out of miscarriage or whatever, they didn't survive. So how do you explain that for God's existence? If my existence is as a result of God's evidence, or if my existence as evidence for God's existence, how do you explain those ones? So it doesn't count for that. And when it comes to the evolution aspect, I can't say what I don't know. That is my point. I don't know how I came into being. I don't need to say, but I believe maybe with time we can be able to know how they were coming to be, maybe in millions years to come or whatever. But I don't need to subscribe to a book because I was told my knowledge to examine how I came into being limits in Genesis chapter 1. In the beginning, God created. It doesn't make sense to me. I think I've answered you, my brother.
Okay, Corey, please. I just put a slide there. Quickly, give it to me. Quickly, the second one. Quickly.
You have 1 minute. Yeah, you have 1 minute, and
yes, I'll use
your
my
1
time.
minute starts right about now.
I want you to show the slide.
Which one of them? The
second one with the jollof rice. Please. Yes, please. So what Henry is saying is this. Henry comes to the room. He sees this nice jollof rice prepared in the kitchen. Yet he doesn't know how this jollof rice came about. Then we ask Henry, how did this jollof rice come about? Then Henry goes like, well, me, I don't know how the jollof rice came, therefore nobody made it. How can you be such illogical? You can't hold such a position, with all due respect. Because one, you are seeing the jollof rice, you are seeing the universe in existence. If this universe is in existence, how can you come to the conclusion that this universe was not designed, was not created? Because you are saying, I don't know who made it, so nobody made it. I don't know who made the jollof rice, so nobody made the jollof rice. The jollof rice just came into be. Look at how the chicken is palatable. Look at how it is. You tell me that nobody did it. It just happened. What do you mean by that? Simply because human beings have emotions. We have love. We express all these things. Because you don't know where it came from, you are saying that nobody made it. That is an illogical position.
All right, so thank you very much for that. And then we're going to be going to, I think, the last question for Mr. Derrick right now. Mr. Derrick, you've taken 2 questions, so this is the last question for you, and this should be wrapping up for us for today. So here's the question for you. Marcus Bro actually asked to Derrick, you mentioned God is spaceless. What is space, and how do we know what lies beyond it without invoking the multiverse hypothesis?
Okay, thank you very much. So Marcus is the gentleman of the debating next. So if you want to watch that debate on Big Bang versus creation, please do watch that debate. Marcus, your question is that I mentioned that God is spaceless. What I mentioned was that when you talk about space is something which is material. And I know that you understand what I'm saying. Because even in the quantum world, we understand that when you have a vehicle, it's actually not a vehicle, right? And I know you understand what I mean. Maybe Henry doesn't appreciate the science, but you do. When we are referring to space, I'm referring to the material space like we have. Nothing brings nothing. So that space we have, we are saying that God is outside of that space. How do we define it? What you are calling space, you and I are calling space now, was not there at a point in time. God called it into being. So would God be that space? No. That's what I mean by spaceless. And if I say God is immaterial, God is not subject to physical or natural laws. No, that is not God. God is not subject to natural laws. That is not God. You get it? So if you're asking spaceless, that is your answer, Marcus. And I hope to see you in the debate when we meet. Thank you very much.
All right. Okay. So that's wrap up the debate for us. But before we go, we're not going to be going without giving. Oh, sorry. Oh, Henry, please. Henry, your 1 minute, please.
Yeah,
I'm sorry
notwithstanding,
about
I'm
that,
not a science. Notwithstanding, I'm not a science student. But theologically, he said God was outside the space. He said he created space before he created heaven. So he was outside the space. Then he was outside the space when he created whatever. Then he was outside. He created space. Where was he before he created space? You need to go more back. You need to go more little back. He was outside the space when he created heaven and earth. Then when he created the space, where was he? You need to go more little back. You need to shift more back. You need to shift more back. He was in Jupiter. Okay, before he created the Jupiter, where was
How
he?
can you be
He
in
was.
Jupiter?
And I'm just giving you example. I'm just giving you example. You are pushing it back. You are just distancing God from. He asks you, where all those kind of things. You are saying he's the out of space. He created space and he's out of. So where was he before he created the out of space you are talking about? And the other one you made you are using a cooked food, all these other. It still attracts the question of who prepared the food. Who prepared the food? The rice, the jollof rice you are talking about. He's a person created by God. So that's faith.
All right. Thank you very much for that. And that wrap it up for the debate for today. But then we're not going to go away without allowing the speakers 5 minutes closing statement. So what it means is that the two speakers, the two debaters will be having 5 minutes for their closing statement. We're going to be starting with Henry. Henry, your 5 minute closing statement starts right about now.
Okay. Let me check my time before I... Thanks everyone who listened to this debate. Honestly, it's something to remember. And I thank my co-debater, Mr. Derrick, and the moderator. Thanks for this wonderful debate, honestly. But one thing I will have to say is this. Like I always say, no matter what you have been taught, like I always use myself as an example. My father is a reverend pastor in the Assemblies of God Church. Everything I'm opposing, he taught me about all these things. Everything Mr. Derrick thinks he believes, he taught me about them. But I stopped accepting what I was taught to be, what I was told or meant to believe, and use my sense to examine, ask questions that are necessary. You too can do the same. I'm not debating so that you can become an atheist. No, but I'm just saying you ask questions like, how did the world come into being? And then you rush a book, Genesis chapter 1. It limits your ability to ask more further questions. Because you are told in Genesis chapter 1, God created heaven and earth, all those things. It limits your ability. You need to understand. So no matter what you are taught to believe either by your parents, pastor, or school teacher, never fail to make use of your own brain to examine the whole things than just accepting what you are taught. And lastly, when you focus on whether morality, you can draw morality from God or not, is not the issue, it's not the essence of life. When you focus more on what is to come, which you are not sure of, you care less about what you have. And if you focus more on heaven we are not sure of, we care less about making this universe a better place for us, eliminating suffering, eliminating those kind of free will this guy, Mr. Derrick, is talking about, which we cause for ourselves. If we all can put aside my religion is better than your religion, insanity, I think we join hands and make this world a better place. People will have no reason to imagine this heaven of a thing, because the reason why 99% of people believe in heaven is because it's because of the frustration that is here in this place we are. They're just trying to escape it. We too, just keep aside religion. When you do something, help who you are supposed to help. Don't say I'm doing it because of God, but say I'm doing this thing because that is the essence of life, not just because you are doing it in order to inherit 2-bedroom flats in heaven. No, use your brain, think about whatever you are taught, ask yourself questions, even the ones that is confusing you. If you check, okay, this makes sense to me, fine. Okay, you accept it. If it doesn't make sense, don't just force yourself. No, I can't just leave this thing. No. That's all I have to say to everyone. Just learn to make use of your sense. Thank you very much for our listeners.
No. All right. And that was an interesting submission. Thank you very much for that, even though you still have about 2 minutes. So we're going to go to Brother right now to give us his 5-minute submission. That's the closing statement before we finally call it a day. So for your 5-minute, Brother Derrick, start right about now.
Okay. So, Corday, please, if you don't mind, kindly get me the slides that I used, the first one. Yes. The
Sorry,
first one.
you want to slide on?
Yes, the first one for my 5-minute presentation. Okay, thank you very much. So, in summary, please, if you listen to the presentation carefully, you have realized that Mr. Henry has failed miserably in this particular conversation. And if I say he has failed miserably, I'm not trying to maybe insult his intelligence. I know Henry is a smart guy. Without being smart, he wouldn't be able to do some of the things he's doing. But it's unfortunate that he's holding a very irrational, inconsistent, and incoherent position, which is atheism. And that is why he's suffering to give consistent answers for all the things that I was giving. That is the problem. And he is not the only one. He raised an objection. And one objection he raised that he says we should the position I am holding limits people's ability to reason. Mr. Henry, when you go back in history, one thing that we are told and one thing that we learn is that the basis of science is because people believed in God. Why? Because Jesus Christ said in John 8, verse, he says that, and you shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. Because we know that there is something called truth and it will set us free. The ancient scientists, you can go and check. It is because of the ideas of Christianity, the idea of religion, the idea of God's existence. That was the bedrock of science. Go and check. And come back and come and tell me that it limits people's ability to think. Yes, there are people who are abusing religion. Equally, people are abusing science. Equally, people are abusing morality. People abuse everything. But does that mean that the ideology we hold as Christians is false? No. It served as the basis for the technology today you have. Go back in time and look at it. And so you don't just make statements like that and think it's a good point. Then again, you said in heaven we'll get 2-bedroom apartment. Please, you have a lot of misconceptions about heaven. And I think it's same for some other atheists. You claim to have been, quote unquote, a Christian and your father was a reverend. That's good. But Henry, you didn't study your Bible when you were a Christian well. The Bible has never said that there's a 2-bedroom apartment and all your misconceptions about heaven. So please correct yourself on that. Now to the slides. This is what I presented today. When I say that there are reasons to believe that God, or there are evidences, why do I say that? And when I say I believe, what do I mean? This is what the Bible is saying. That there is evidence for God's existence and we can see it. And I've shown you that. Now look at Hebrews 11 verse 1. Now faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. Evidence, Henry, evidence. Not just blind faith. No, not just some random mechanistic chances. And Derrick sits here and he has not examined it. He's not using his brain. It was through the brain that I used that I constructed this logical statement that you couldn't respond to. And even in the question and answers, when I asked you several questions, you couldn't answer. You chose not to answer because you can't answer. Any atheist can attempt answering the 13 questions to the atheists. You can't answer them. You can't. If you answer, you contradict yourself. That is why you didn't answer. Now, when I say I believe, it's evidence-based faith, not blind faith. So Henry, correct yourself there. And every atheist should correct themselves. What kind of evidence? I've shown you what kind of evidence I'm talking about. My first argument was the argument of cause and effect. Matter demands a maker. Again, if you see design like Kakum National Park in Ghana, I would encourage you to come and visit that place. It's a very nice place. If you see evidence of, you see this effect, the universe, therefore somebody should have made it. Like Professor Stephen Hawking said, he says nothing caused the Big Bang, but he himself says, but the whole universe can come out of nothing. And it just doesn't make sense when his positions are inconsistent. That's the point. Now, number 2, life demands a life giver. If you see life, somebody should have made that life. And it's true, spontaneous generation cannot be possible. Number 3, law of biogenesis refutes that idea that you can have life from non-life. If you see life, it comes from something that is already having life. God plays life here. Life did not just randomly occur. So Henry, you said you did not know. Now I'm showing you the evidence. In science, we have something called law of biogenesis. Life comes from already existing life. So please note that. Now, the next argument I used was design demands. Oh, what's happening to my slide? Yes, design demands a designer. Design demands a designer. So whenever you see design in the universe, somebody should have caused that design. And that design we are talking about here is God. Number 4, morality demands a moral lawgiver. And that's what Henry was struggling with. If you see morality, somebody plays that moral absolute standard. And free will, Henry admits he has free will. Free will emanates from God. You can't be free and tell me that no, but there's no standard. Then how do we regulate it? Yeah, so that is a very good point to make. So if something can be legitimately criticized as morally wrong, then there must be an objective standard. If objective moral values exist, then God exists. Then the last one, the historical corridor is my time out. The historical working resurrected Jesus Christ demands a supernatural cause. The historical miracle working Jesus demands a supernatural cause, and that is God. So therefore, God exists. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, gentlemen. Really, really appreciate you too. Really, it's not really an easy thing to come on debating issues like this. It actually means that you've done a lot of work, a lot of research. And apart from that, I mean, sitting down for about 2 hours and 2 hours plus discussing issues like this is not really an easy thing. Now, that's why I really want to tell you guys in the audience to appreciate these guys. Okay, appreciate them. And that's the reason why attacking them, saying, well, you don't know this, you don't know that, is not actually the way to go. I bet you some of you in the audience or in the comment section cannot do a bit of what these guys are doing. I mean, it's easy for you to just sit down there in the comment section and begin to point fingers and then accuse these guys. But then, can you do what they are doing? I mean, they've done us a favor by doing their researches and bringing it to us. And it's for us to now take a look at what they brought so far, digest it, and then make a sense out of it. All right. So, gentlemen, I really want to appreciate you guys for the time that you've actually brought up. You know, I mean, dedicated your time to this particular topic of discussion. Really appreciate it. Thank you very much, bro. Derrick. It's nice having you on the program. God bless you. And also, I'll say to bro Henry as well. Really appreciate your time.
Thank you.
You don't believe in God, but all the way, I still pray for
Derrick.
you.
Thanks for debating with you. Nice debating with you.
Thank you so much, Henry.
Nice
I
debating.
mean,
Thank
I
you
hope
very
we
much.
continue
Thank
to
you.
have conversations afterwards. Okay, I really
Surely, certainly. Okay.
All right,
Thank you
folks.
very much.
As a way of information,
inerrancy of the Bible. We'll continue outside.
Yeah.
All right,
We'll talk about that. Maybe I will. That is where you will not see me to talk again.
All right, folks. Really want to appreciate you guys. Now, as a way of information, Bro Derrick is going to be having a debate on the 25th of August. Yeah, this month, 25th of August, 2022. All right. Sorry, 2022. Yeah, I'm right about that. So the topic will be origins of the universe, the origins of the universe, creation or Big Bang. And it's going to be 5:30 GMT, and that's 5:30 Ghanaian time, right? And that should be about 6:30 our own time. Okay, so if you want to watch this debate and you want to make sure you don't want to miss anything, just make sure that you head on to Spotlight on the World, either on Facebook, on YouTube. They have both channels on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok. I mean, they're all over the place. These guys are doing
And
a great
they have an
job.
app to correlate. They can download the app.
So you guys had they also have an app, so you can actually download that app. So Derrick is going to be debating Marcus Bro. Marcus Bro is one of those who actually asked questions in the comment section today. So you want to make sure that you stay up to date on this debate. It's going to be very interesting. Brother Derrick, is this debate going to be in English language or
Yes,
in
it's in English language. English.
Awesome. Because
I'll be there. I'll be there.
Yeah, I know.
I will support my brother.
Also, we need a debate like this.
Said what?
I will support my brother. I will support my brother.
You support me or you support him?
Definitely
are you
other
my brother?
not you.
Oh, not your brother. Oh.
All right, folks. Don't forget again. It's going to be on the 25th of August 2022. That's next week. In fact, this week, because this is the beginning of new week. So you want to make sure that you don't miss that debate. All right. So now, as a reminder, also, Lord willing, next week we're going to be having on the Season Apologist Live Robert Spencer on the show. Robert Spencer is going to be coming on the show, and we're going to be discussing the critical Quran. All right, the critical Quran. Now, for those who do not know, the critical Quran is a book written by Robert Spencer. I think it came out about last year or so. And then I have a copy right here. Okay, so this is the hard copy of the critical Quran.
I need mine.
So I'm going to be discussing this book with Robert Spencer, Lord willing, on the 20 what now? It's actually next week. Okay, yeah, it's next week. So that will be on the 28th. Yes, there you go. That will be on the 28th of August 2022. All right. So, folks, we're going to be discussing this book right here, The Critical Quran. You want to make sure that you stay up to date on that because We're going to be bringing out a whole lot of issues and things that you need to know about, especially if you're ministering to the Muslims. So next week, Lord willing, we're going to be talking about that. But this time around, instead of having this program at 1 p.m. the Nigerian time, we're going to be having it 8 p.m. Nigerian time. So it's going to be in the night, all right? So make sure that you stay up to date for that. Also, we can be found on Facebook at Season Apologist. We can be found on YouTube. And also, we can be found on Instagram and Twitter as well. So if you just want to send us a message, you can actually do that. Send us an send us an email at info@seasonapologist.com. If you want to reach out to us on WhatsApp, yes, you can actually do that as well, as you can actually see on the screen. And if you want to ask questions, yes, you can send us an email or also ask us questions as well. I really want to appreciate these two gentlemen again for their time, for their effort. It's not really an easy thing again. I really love them, appreciate them. And I hope to see more of this kind of conversation going on. And that is the reason why we're doing what we're doing. We want to make sure that we create an avenue of love, peace, maturity, and intellectual exercise as well, such that we can actually take a look at things from a matured point of view instead of doing ad hominem and pointing fingers at one another. Again, I want to appreciate you folks. And for the two of them, you can actually look them up on Facebook and YouTube. Yeah, but especially for Facebook, Henry Osuji is actually on Facebook, and Derrick Danson is actually on Facebook as well. So if you want to reach out to them, you can actually do that. Just reach out to them, type the name Derrick Danson, or Henry Osuji. You can see two of them right there on Facebook, and you can connect to see more information about what Brother Danson is doing. That's Brother Derrick. Yeah, you can see all of the things that he's doing by going to Spotlight on the World. Maybe sometimes in the future we see Brother Henry also coming up with his own ministry. But I just pray by then Brother Henry would have submitted to Jesus. Amen. All right. So with that said, we are going to be, drawing the curtain to, we're going to bring the program to a close right now. Really want to appreciate everybody. Those that are praying for us, those that are supporting us, in every way. We really want to appreciate you and thank you very much. God bless you. My name remains Corridella. Yeah.
In the previous debate, Henry raised some alleged contradictions. So just as a way of a reminder, I'm responding to them on our YouTube channel in English because of our Nigerian audience and news outside. So please, Henry, when I do them, I'll send you the link. The contradictions, I'm responding to them there. So yes, sir. Thank you.
No necessarily. If we have to, we can just map out next time and sort it out. Like this, one-on-one.
No problem. We're gonna continue the conversation. All right. We just need to go right now. Again, folks, thank you very much. My name is Corridella. I really want to appreciate you guys, especially those that actually stayed from the very beginning till now. Really want to appreciate you. Thank you very much. God bless you. I want to say to you that you stay safe. I think there's coronavirus out there, but whatever it is, stay safe, keep safe. The Lord will keep you, guide you, protect you. Thank you very much. God bless you. I'll see you guys next week. Bye for now.
We love you, Lord, we love you. Father, we give you all the glory. You are my rock, my strength and my trust. In you I live and move and have my being. You are my shelter, my peace and my shield. You are my everything. You are worthy to be praised. You are my rock, my strength and my trust. In you I live and move and have my being. You are my shelter, my peace and my shield. You are my everything. You are worthy to be praised. Sweet Jesus, beautiful King, no Father like you, no friend like you. Your love